Some roof areas have details where it is inappropriate to install waterproofing systems using torch-applied products. These torch-free zones require flame-free application, and where membranes are specified, these should be welded using hot air technology. Areas where gas torch application is suitable are referred to as torch-safe zones. This video takes you through some of the ethos for creating and detailing torch-free zones with Bowder bitumen membranes to enhance safety measures on site and reduce risk to the contractor and the building owner. Bowder has developed specially modified self-adhesive membranes for use in zones where certain details present increased risk. Operatives will use suitable hot air equipment, lap rollers and an adequate electrical supply. This will be complemented with the traditional torch welding equipment for the torch-safe zones. Correct PPE must be used, including safety glasses, and appropriate fire extinguishers must be available at all times. To demonstrate the methods of application, this Bowder Total Roof System will now be installed onto a timber roof deck, forming upstand details under an overhanging soffit and under vertical hanging tiles. Firstly, the roof area should be prepared by exposing the details to provide adequate access to install the new system. Any movable finishes, for example tiles, cladding and cover flashings, need to be removed. Overhanging soffits can be left in situ, provided that an upstand of 150mm can be achieved. The roof area is then cleaned off, ready to receive the Bowder spray-applied multi-purpose primer. The upstands and details are primed first, and then the horizontal area is coated. The primer is applied in stripes from one side to the other, so as to coat the roof surface without excessive overlapping of the spray pattern to achieve coverage rate of 80 grams per metre squared. After 5 minutes and within the next 4 hours, the vapour control layer is applied to the whole roof area. The metal-lined self-adhesive membrane is rolled out and set into position. It is then rolled back on a spindle to the midpoint of the roll. The release film is carefully cut through using a sharp straight-bladed craft knife, being careful not to cut into the self-adhesive bitumen, and then the membrane is rolled out, ensuring a downwards pressure is applied to the top of the roll through the release film. The spindle ensures adequate adhesion across the full width of the roll. When finishing the vapour control layer to the upstand details, hot air is used to further activate the bitumen on the underside of the membrane. This is completed in multiple passes across the width of the roll without activating the bitumen on the side laps, as these are sealed separately after the vertical detail is in place. The vapour control layer completely encapsulates the entire roof area and is finished to cover all combustible materials. All edges are fully bonded with hot air. After the vapour control layer is bonded into position, the laps are sealed by using either hot air or propane gas in the appropriate zones. The hot air or torch-free zone is defined by measuring from the upstand or overhanging detail a minimum of 900mm out or to the nearest hole membrane width and marking with a chalk line. In this zone, hot air is used to create a minimum 80mm weld to the side lap. Elsewhere on the roof, where it is safe to use LPG equipment, the side and end laps are sealed using a long-handled roller and gas torch. On completion of the vapour control layer, the insulation is bonded into strips of Bowder PU adhesive applied in beads, poured directly onto the membrane. Bead width and spacing will be stated in the Bowder specification. Bowder PIR angle fillets are then bonded in adhesive at the base of all upstand details. The roof area is now ready to receive the waterproofing layers, starting first with the Bowder KSA Duo self-adhesive underlay. When setting out the underlay, it is necessary to start at the base of the upstand in the torch-free zone with a 500mm wide sheet of underlay. This is to stagger the laps when installing a full-width capping sheet. The remainder of the underlay is installed using a spindle. This will maintain full width pressure as the material is rolled onto the roof. Before the side and end laps are sealed, the flame-free and torch-safe zones are highlighted by measuring from the critical details, in this case the overhanging soffit detail. The edge of the zone is then marked on the underlay using a chalk line. All laps in the flame-free zone are now welded together with the hot air equipment. Under no circumstances is propane gas equipment to be used in this zone. Only when the laps are fully sealed and complete can gas torch sealing commence in the torch safe zone. Using the long-handled roller and gas torch, the lap is sealed. Prior to installing the upstand details, Bowder multi-purpose primer is used on the exposed vapor control layer and angle fillet to reduce the amount of hot air bonding and speed up the installation. To improve safety and enhance the speed of installation, the underlay is only taken to finish 100mm above the angle fillet. After positioning the flashing, it is bonded from the top of the fillet down, leaving the top 50mm until later. Depending on ambient temperatures, the release foil can be totally removed or taken away in strips on the area being bonded. The flashing is then sealed in 2 passes onto the horizontal flat area. Firstly by activating the bitumen where the flashing meets the base of the angle fillet, then to fully seal across the finished edge with a hand roller to extrude a continuous bead of bitumen. The top of the flashing is fully sealed to the vapor control layer, preventing water ingress during the works. Finally, the side lap that has Bowder Duo technology is fully welded. All laps must be formed with the red side on top of the blue. This allows the lap to be lifted during welding, making installation more operative friendly. The roof area is now ready for the capping sheet to be installed. The Bowder KSO PSN is positioned in the hot air zones with the black selvage lap adjacent to the torch safe zone. In the flame-free zone, the underlay is lightly primed, 80 grams per meter squared, using Bowder multi-purpose primer as an activator. Once the primer has been allowed to become touch dry, after 5 minutes, the capping sheet is positioned and bonded into place using the peel and stick technique. Any potential air pockets should be checked for and rolled out using the long-handled roller. All capping sheet laps in this zone are now ready to weld. In 2 passes, the 80mm welds are completed with a minimum 5mm extrusion of bitumen visible from all laps. The edges of the capping sheet adjacent to the upstand details are also welded with hot air. This must be done to ensure the membranes are all fully bonded prior to the installation of the flashing detail. This completes the horizontal area in the torch-free zones. To finish this area, the upstand details can now be installed. The flashings are bonded downwards from approximately 50mm above the angle fillet, making sure that they are tight in the internal corners of the angle fillet. The top edge is sealed separately. As previously mentioned, all lap welds must be a minimum of 80mm and completed in 2 passes to ensure a full bond is achieved. After the first pass has been made, any excess material can be trimmed off to the chalk lines marked on the capping sheet, ensuring an aesthetically pleasing finish. All upstands terminating on a vertical elevation require mechanical attachment, using a termination bar or washers and fixings fixed at 300mm centres. Only now, with the torch-free zones completed, are the torch-safe areas installed, in this case with Bowder K5K capping sheet. The K5K is positioned with 80mm side laps and 100mm end laps. The laps are always formed on top of the self-adhesive KSO PSN and not relative to the direction of the fall on the roof. Gas torches must remain switched off and only ignited when held in the hand and actually in use. The torching technique should be directed within the parameters of the roll of capping sheet, and when heating the side lap at the edge of the flame-free zone, the head of the gas torch must not be directed in such a way that excessive overspill of flame travels towards the critical details. After igniting the gas torch, the side lap is carefully heated. This activates the bitumen, so that the roll can be rolled back fully to the previously bonded area on the reverse side of the sheet. This process is vital to maintain the integrity of the laps, as they will often be formed against the natural runoff of rainwater. The sheet is then fully bonded as previously described. When sealing an end lap onto a torch-free zone, care must be taken to turn off the gas torch until it is being used to actually heat the membranes, and direct the heat away from the critical detail at all times. The gas torch should never be left lit when not in use, and should be attended at all times. On completion, all laps must have a continuous extrusion of bitumen, and all head laps must be 100mm and side laps 80mm. This process is repeated on all join-on details to torch-free zones until the roof is finished.